The sky has always been a canvas of wonder and fear. For centuries, people have looked up and asked the same question. Are we alone? Sometimes the sky answers, not with stars, but with something unknown, something that doesn't belong. In January 1996, a quiet Brazilian town named Varjinha became the center of one of the most mysterious UFO encounters in history. It began with a strange object falling from the sky, a metallic craft, unlike anything built by human hands. What followed would change the town forever. Rumors of a living alien wandering the streets, terrified witnesses, and soldiers arriving in the dead of night to hunt something not from this earth. Some say the creature was captured. Others claim it died, its secrets buried by governments who fear what the truth might reveal. But the people of Varginha still remember the smell, the fear, the black eyes of a being that looked into their souls. This is the story of the UFO crash that Brazil will never forget, a mystery that forces us to ask, what really fell from the sky that day? The road stretched like a silent ribbon under the pale morning sky as Carlos Sosa's truck rumbled along. It was an ordinary day until the heavens themselves seemed to fracture. High above the treetops, a metallic shape appeared, long, smooth, and glinting like polished steel. It looked nothing like a plane. It was too seamless, too alien. The object trembled in the air, tilting awkwardly as if gravity itself was pulling it apart. A pale white mist hissed from a jagged wound along its side, spiraling into the sunlight like smoke from a dying fire. The hum that followed was unlike any engine, low, metallic, and strangely alive, vibrating in Carlos's bones. Then it dipped, slowly at first, then with terrifying speed. The craft tilted sideways, spun once, and plunged behind the wall of trees. The silence shattered as a deafening crash rolled through the valley, rattling the ground beneath Carlos's tires. He slammed the brakes. His heart hammered against his ribs as he stared at the distant tree line. The birds had stopped singing. The air itself felt heavier, charged with something unnatural. Every instinct screamed at him to leave, to get far away. But curiosity pulled him forward. He stepped out of the truck, boots sinking into the soft dirt. The closer he moved to the smoke rising beyond the trees, the more he felt an odd static crawling over his skin, like invisible fingers brushing against him. And then he saw it. The craft lay broken, half buried in the earth, larger than any vehicle he'd ever seen, easily the length of a school bus. Its surface wasn't smooth metal, but something else entirely, a material that seemed to shimmer and pulse faintly as if alive. Along its side, symbols glowed faintly in a color he couldn't name, shapes that felt older than human history. White vapor bled from the cracks, coiling through the air like breath in winter. Carlos fumbled for his camera. His hands shook. But just as his finger hovered over the shutter, something moved. A shadow rippled inside the wreckage, a shape. By midday, the quiet town of Varginha was no longer quiet. Word traveled fast, too fast. Farmers whispered of black trucks thundering down the roads, carrying men with cold faces and rifles slung across their chests. The smell of burning rubber and diesel filled the air as military convoys cut off the countryside. Locals peered from their doorways as soldiers barked orders. "Stay inside, stay silent." The streets emptied. It was as if an invisible hand had gripped the town, squeezing until every breath was fear. But whispers cannot be silenced. They spread from house to house like wind through dry leaves. Someone said a creature had escaped from the crash site. Not just debris, not just metal, something alive. Those who claimed to see it described the same figure, small but not a child. Its skin was dark, slick, almost like oil, and glistened as though burned. Its head was swollen, bulbous, with eyes so black and wide they seemed to swallow light. It moved awkwardly, as if every step was a struggle. Fear deepened when rumors grew darker. A soldier had touched the creature, they said. Within days, he fell ill. His skin blistered, his fever burned high, and no medicine could cure him. Some whispered that he died, though no official word ever came. The authorities gave no answers. The Brazilian military, when questioned, denied everything. No crash, no creature. But the people of Varjinha knew better. They felt the tension in the air, the way even the animals seemed restless. For them, the fear was real. And somewhere in the shadows of that small town, something not from this earth was hiding, wounded, frightened, and waiting. The sun hung low over Varjinha that afternoon, turning the streets into ribbons of gold and shadow. 3 young girls, Lillian, Valkyria, and Keisha, walked together, their laughter soft against the hum of the quiet town. They carried bags of groceries, speaking of small things, never knowing their lives were about to change forever. As they passed an empty lot near a crumbling wall, Keisha stopped. Her breath caught in her throat. Something was there. At first, it looked like a pile of wet clay hunched against the wall, but then it moved. Slowly, painfully, the shape unfolded. A thin arm shifted, trembling. A head turned toward them, and the afternoon light caught its face. Lillian gasped. Valkyria dropped her bag. Tomatoes rolled into the dust. The being crouched low, its skin slick and dark as though drenched in oil. The surface seemed to ripple faintly, alive but fragile. Its chest rose and fell in uneven breaths, and the smell hit them. A stench like ammonia and sulfur, sharp and suffocating, as though the air itself had turned toxic. Its eyes were what froze them. Black, enormous, and bottomless. Eyes that didn't blink, didn't shine like human eyes, but absorbed light like 2 perfect voids. When Lillian met its gaze, a strange sensation clawed at her mind. She heard no words. Yet something stirred inside her thoughts, a feeling not her own. "Help me," it whispered, voiceless but clear. "I am weak, I am dying." Her legs felt like stone. Fear and pity warred inside her chest. Then the creature shifted, and a low, rattling sound escaped its slit-like mouth. That sound shattered the moment. Lillian screamed. She grabbed Valkyria's hand and pulled her backward. Keisha stumbled, still staring, until Valkyria yanked her arm. The 3 girls ran, their feet slapping against the pavement, their hearts pounding like drums. Behind them, the being did not move. It only watched, its black eyes glistening with something that might have been fear or sorrow. When the girls burst into their home, their mother barely had time to ask what was wrong before all 3 were crying, shaking, speaking over one another. "A monster," Keisha sobbed. "We saw a monster." The story spread fast. Neighbors gathered. Some believed, some didn't. But that night, soldiers were seen patrolling the street near the empty lot. Whatever the girls saw, someone else was looking for it. Night fell over Varjinha like a heavy curtain, swallowing the streets in silence. But it wasn't the silence of peace. It was the silence of fear. The townspeople stayed behind their doors, lights dimmed, peeking through cracks in the curtains. From the distance came the low growl of engines. Black military trucks rolled into the town, their headlights cutting through the dark like blades. Men in dark uniforms jumped down, their boots pounding the pavement. They moved with precision, their rifles ready, as if hunting something they feared but didn't fully understand. A whistle pierced the air, sharp and commanding. More soldiers appeared, spreading through alleys and abandoned lots, their flashlights dancing across walls and rooftops. Dogs barked somewhere in the distance, their howls rising like alarms. At the center of town, near the lot where the girls had seen the creature, a thick, choking smell of ammonia lingered. Soldiers covered their faces with cloths. One of them muttered, "It's close." They found strange footprints in the dirt, 3 long toes pressed deep, as if the being was both heavy and fragile. A soldier knelt down, touching the print with his gloved hand. The dirt was warm, unnaturally warm. Suddenly, a noise rippled through the shadows, a faint rustling, followed by a sound like a weak, broken breath. Flashlights swung toward a collapsed shed near the drainage canal. The soldiers tightened their grip on their weapons. A low, rattling cry came from inside the shed. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal. It was something in between, trembling with fear or pain. One soldier moved forward slowly, his gun raised. He signaled the others to circle around. The door of the shed creaked as he pushed it open, the smell hitting him like a wall, sharp, metallic, suffocating. Inside, crouched in the corner, was the creature. Its limbs shook violently, its black eyes reflecting the beam of the flashlight like pools of oil. The soldier hesitated. He had trained for war, for enemies with guns and faces. But this thing looked wounded, almost pleading. Still, orders were orders. He reached out with a gloved hand, and the being let out a sudden shriek, high, sharp, and unearthly. The sound sliced through the night like glass breaking. The soldier stumbled back. His partners surged forward, nets and equipment ready. The being tried to crawl away, but it was too weak. Its movements were slow, its breathing ragged. It was caught in seconds. The townspeople who dared to watch from their windows saw only a dark shape being carried into a truck, covered by a heavy black tarp. The convoy rolled out moments later, engines growling, leaving only silence and the lingering stench of something not from this world. That night the air in Varjinha felt different, heavier. And somewhere inside a military truck, the creature's black eyes closed. Whether it was fear, pain, or resignation, no one could say. Morning light crept over Varjinha, but it did not bring peace. The town carried a strange weight, as though the air itself remembered the night's events. Those who stepped outside early were struck by the odor that still lingered, sharp, acrid like ammonia mixed with burned rubber. It clung to the streets and doorways, a ghostly reminder that something unnatural had passed through. At the lot where the girls had seen the creature, the ground was scorched. The grass had turned black and brittle, as though burned by acid. A small circle of earth looked dead, the soil cracked and dry, and not a single insect dared to crawl near. Some locals whispered that even stray dogs refused to approach the area, barking from a distance before retreating in fear. Carlos Sosa, the truck driver who had seen the craft fall, returned to the site of the crash later that morning. He found the forest strangely quiet. Not even the sound of birds could be heard. The earth was torn apart where the UFO had struck. Trees snapped like toothpicks, dirt thrown into jagged piles. And then there was the smell. It was everywhere, soaking into his clothes, into his skin. A suffocating, chemical stench that made his eyes water and his stomach twist. Not of this earth, he whispered to himself, because no machine he knew could leave a scent so foreign, so wrong. Nearby, black tire marks scarred the ground, evidence of the military trucks that had come and gone. Some neighbors said they saw barrels being loaded onto trucks, sealed and wrapped in heavy canvas. Others claimed they heard the cries of something alive, short, weak, and fading, before the engines roared and disappeared into the distance. Rumors spread faster than fire. A soldier was said to have fallen gravely ill, his skin marked by strange rashes. Another, they whispered, died after direct contact with the creature. Officially, the military said nothing, but their silence only fed the fear. The people of Varjinha knew they were standing at the edge of something vast and terrifying. This was not just a fallen aircraft. It was a visitor. A wounded stranger from beyond the stars, dragged away in the dead of night, leaving behind nothing but the smell of a world not their own. Some believed the military was hiding the truth. Some claimed American agents had arrived in secret, taking control of the wreckage. Whatever the truth, Varjinha had changed. A small town that had once been peaceful now felt like a place haunted, not by ghosts, but by something far older and far stranger. Days turned into weeks, yet the air of Varjinha remained thick with unease. The crash site in the forest had been cordoned off by soldiers, their boots leaving deep marks in the soft earth. They spoke to no one. Even when locals gathered at the edges of the cordon, trying to glimpse what lay beyond, they were pushed back by rifles and cold stares. Witnesses whispered of what they saw. Some spoke of large containers, shaped like coffins, being lifted into trucks at night. Others described a convoy moving toward a nearby military base under the cover of darkness. A farmer swore he saw men in suits, foreign men, standing apart from the Brazilian officers, giving orders in clipped English. No one dared to challenge them. The three girls, Lillian, Valkyria, and Keisha, became the center of attention. Their story spread across the town like wildfire, retold in hushed voices as though speaking too loudly might invite the creature back. Keisha couldn't forget the eyes. She told her mother, "It wasn't trying to hurt us. It was afraid. I could feel it, like it was asking for help." When a local priest visited the family, Keisha asked him, trembling, "Father, was it a demon?" The priest could only shake his head. "If it was a demon," he said softly, "it wouldn't have begged for mercy." Meanwhile, Carlos Sosa's account of the metallic craft spread to reporters in neighboring towns. He described symbols etched into the surface of the wreckage, glowing faintly even in daylight. "I know what I saw," he insisted. "It wasn't a plane, it wasn't anything built by human hands." But outside Varjinha, no one wanted to listen. The military released a statement calling the entire event a misunderstanding. They claimed the girls had seen a disheveled, homeless man, and the soldiers were only conducting a training exercise. Yet the locals knew better. Too many things didn't add up. Why did soldiers move in so quickly, sealing off roads? Why was the crash site cleared overnight, leaving scorched earth but no debris? Why did two soldiers fall ill, one of whom reportedly died under mysterious circumstances? James Fox, a UFO investigator from abroad, began digging into the case years later. He interviewed the girls, now grown women, who told their story exactly as they had on that day. He spoke with Carlos Sosa, who described the fear he felt standing near the strange craft, the way its surface seemed alive beneath his touch. Fox followed the trail to a retired Brazilian military officer who spoke off record. "There are things I cannot say, orders, threats, but I will tell you this: something was captured that night, something that was not human." The smell of ammonia and sulfur remained etched in the memories of every witness, like a scar. Even today, some people say they can still sense it when they pass the old lot, a chemical ghost that refuses to fade. As time passed, the event became a local legend, but the fear never left. For those who saw it, Varjinha's truth was simple. A visitor came from the stars, and we were not ready. The story of Varjinha remains unsolved, an echo of something extraordinary that shook a quiet town and left questions no one can fully answer. Was it truly a visitor from another world, or just a story born from fear and confusion? And if it was real, where is it now? What do you believe happened that night in Varjinha? Do you think the military is hiding the truth about what fell from the sky? Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear what you think. If this story sparked your curiosity, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, Sight, for more real UFO encounters and unexplained mysteries from around the world. Hit the bell icon so you won't miss the next story that might change the way you see the universe. The sky is watching. Are you ready to watch back?